Hello, my name is Hellín Orenes and this is my final exam for the course School Organization and Students Diversity 23-24. This video will be divided into two parts and the first part will be divided as well in three different blocks of content. Center context. The primary school is located in the center of the city of Murcia in an area with a high level of urbanization. The center is located in a neighborhood that is well connected to the other districts of the city. Near the school, there is a municipal swimming pool, a municipal library, and a sports pavilion. The socioeconomic and cultural level of the school's students' families is average. In fact, the majority have average income levels, and the other half have below average income levels. 62.3% have secondary education, and 30% have primary education. Very few families have higher education, and even a smaller percentage of families do not have the primary education. The most common family nucleus is composed by a mother and a father, with an average of 2 children per house, although the presence of large families is notable. In addition, in more than half of the families, both the mother and the father are in active employment, with priority occupations associated with the secondary and tertiary sectors. The rate of families from other countries has increased in the last decade. At present, 71.8% of the school students are of native origin, of which 5% belong to the Gypsy ethnic group, and the rest are of foreign origin, mainly North Africans, South Americans, Chinese, and Romanians. The school has a total of 324 students between the second cycle of kindergarten and primary education. Primary education has 1 line in the first year and 2 in the rest of the stage, with an average ratio of 24 students. Only one foreign language is offered, English. The school has students with specific educational support needs. We have students with special educational needs. 3 have autism spectrum disorder. 4 intellectual disabilities. 3 have motor disabilities and another 4 have sensory disabilities. 5 students with ADHD, 2 students with irregular schooling and high intellectual abilities, 1 gifted student, and 1 simple linguistic talent. In the center, the levels of school dropout are very low. There are only 5 cases of school absenteeism, which are due to situations of illness or disability of the student and to a family member issue of a work-related nature. As a member of the management team of an elementary and primary school in the region of Murcia, here are 10 development ideas aimed at improving the school's situation. AI proposal. Here are the 5 measures that I have chosen from the AI proposal and that I think that are most suitable for this kind of school. Enhanced special education support. In my school, there are 3 students with autism, 5 students with ADHD, and another 11 students have intellectual or motor disabilities. There are also 2 students with high intellectual abilities. Personalized support for each student's necessities will improve the educational experience and outcomes for students with special educational needs. For the legislation part, Article 20 says the most appropriate measures will be established so that the conditions for carrying out the processes associated with the evaluation are adapted to the needs of students with a specific need for educational support. The actors are specialized teachers who are attending the school and the principal who is responsible for contacting them through the City Hall. Teacher-student connection. This is the main connection that students and teachers will establish as they are the ones interactive for the correct learning acquisition adapted to their individual needs. Cultural integration programs. A low percentage of students coming from other countries would need an adaptation program to facilitate their integration with the educational system and their classmates. For the legislation part, Article 80 says, in order to make effective the principle of equity in the exercise of the right to education, public administrations will develop actions aimed at people, groups, social environments, and territorial areas that are in a situation of socio-educational and cultural vulnerability with the aim of eliminating barriers that limit their access, presence, participation, or learning, thereby ensuring reasonable adjustments based on their individual needs and providing the necessary support to promote their maximum educational and social development, so that they can access inclusive education on equal terms with others. The actors are exchange students, students from our school, language specialists, teachers, and people in charge of organizing cultural events. Teacher-student connection. Teachers will play a crucial role in this measure as they are the ones who are going to work, especially with those students who come from foreign countries. Connections beyond the classroom. Students will attend cultural events and language clubs where they will get a wider concept of culture and a more easy adaptation to the class learning atmosphere. Connections with peers. This measure makes students communicate and give opinions in the different activities proposed, and this will make them exchange ideas by learning concepts from others' opinions. Parental engagement and education. As most parents don't have a very high educational level, they may not be completely aware of the educational opportunities for their children adapted to their needs. By informing them about the different measures and methods that are being applied to the children, they can make decisions in a more oriented way. For the legislation part, Article 12 says, in order to respect the fundamental responsibility of mothers and fathers or legal guardians at this stage, early childhood education centers will cooperate closely with them. The actors are parents, teachers, and the school principal or the management team. Connections beyond the classroom. Although parents and teachers will have an interaction inside the classroom, the learning that is being produced in this case is for helping children outside school to get better in their learning process. Enhanced language support. The school only offers one foreign language, English, so including a second or third foreign language would be a good option for students' development in the communication area. No legislation supported this measure. The actors are children and language specialist teachers. Some native teachers from other countries can be invited to offer conversation practice. Teacher-student connection. Students will achieve foreign language knowledge through the language teacher or the language assistant in case it is possible to bring a native speaker once a week. Connections within learning. If the students have already heard this new language that they are learning, they will establish connections with previous concepts or ideas about it. If they haven't, they will establish those connections from one lesson to another until they achieve the language content for being competent with it. Extracurricular and after-school programs. The school has some public resources nearby that can be used for creating after-school activities to enhance and promote social skills for children. For the legislation part, Article 81 says, in those schools, geographical areas or social environments in which there is a concentration of students in a situation of socio-educational vulnerability, the educational administrations will develop initiatives to compensate for this situation. To this end, joint socio-educational actions may be established at the territorial level with local administrations and social entities, including special attention to the extracurricular and educational offer and educational leisure, as well as support and tutoring actions with students who find themselves in this situation, and with their families. These initiatives and actions will be carried out in a way that avoids the segregation of these students within educational centers. The actors are instructors for the activities development in each place, children and parents by getting their children into those after-school activities. Connections beyond the classroom. It is not only centered in the school program but also provides extra training that focuses on the students' development and goes beyond what they already learned during the school day. Connections with peers. This is not a normal class in school, so students will interact more with their peers than with the teacher or instructor as they will be working in teams and trying to win the competition or game they are engaged in. The parts of educational diversity that the AI hasn't considered are age and gender. But from my point of view, I think this isn't, in this case, very meaningful as the different measures proposed can be applied successfully without the need of considering these two aspects. It has included the inclusion, socioeconomic status, disabilities, and the nationality of the students. So overall, I consider that the answer is really complete. The relationship that is not being addressed by the AI proposal is connections within the learning context, as it is the only focusing on the concepts and projects that students, teachers, parents, and the rest of the community are going to develop. but is not considering as an important feature the condition of resources present inside the classroom or outside them. I chose as an organization the same example that I analyzed during the first block to make it easier to understand the organization and the reflections I will make about it. The complexity of my organization is diversity and redundancy, and the 5 main points of my program related to coexistence are inclusion assurance. In this school, there are some students with specific disabilities and some others who come from other countries or backgrounds, and as the complexity points out, including diversity in our classroom can bring new measures or remove unnecessary ones. Active listening. If teachers and students are able to listen actively to what others have to say about the measures implemented, some improvements can be made to enhance the learning experience and the school performance. Good treatment. Treating others with kindness and demonstrating empathy for those who are around can help the consistent development in the whole school performance. Authority respect. Students need to respect the authority of teachers, the management team, the principal, and the rest of the staff working in the school to ensure the acquisition of moral values and behavioral principles for developing a well-being atmosphere. Resource assessment. Valuing and respecting the materials and resources used in the school will ensure a longer duration of these. This stuff has to be manipulated in a creative and productive way, so the changes made on them are useful to improve the activities or events proposed. The type of leadership that is being applied in this context is transformational leadership. It emphasizes change and transformation. Leaders who adopt this approach inspire their followers to achieve more things that they consider possible by believing in their potential. This type of leadership can be highly effective in organizations looking to make significant changes, as in the case of this school organization. These are the elements of the diversity care plan that could be more critical for pupils who present special needs related to intellectual disability. Make some significant curricular adaptations by graduating the activities and the choice of the materials used. Proposals for individual technical aids and specific equipment to support communication, mobility, and access to the curriculum. The organization and coordination between the teaching staff and the complementary educational care staff. Educational innovation and research programs, plans, or projects that favor an inclusive response to student diversity. Other methods that favor the quality of education for all students and equal access to and permanence in the education system. School accompaniment programs, educational support, and reinforcement programs for students with special educational needs. I think I deserve an 8, as I think this course has made me, as a future teacher, not only take into account the multiple improvements that could be made in a school's organization or the inclusion of the students in it, but also the great impact that this has in the society and the way that it is going to influence the students' learning and professional development. Learning about the multiple leadership styles that exist made me reflect on the importance of choosing a good one in order to get our commitment as teachers. If we want to produce a specific effect on our students and the rest of the teachers, we need to consider which of these is the best way to get what we want. The different ways of organizing timetables and the wide range of options that a school has in order to organize the schedule of the subjects is something that I didn't expect to learn about. Taking this into account will help students in a significant way to make the most of the day and learn the different materials in a meaningful way. Although I knew there were organizations to help students with disabilities, I didn't expect to find so many adaptations inside of a classroom with the rest of the people without them. Yes, because having a disability or coming from a different background doesn't mean that you are not capable of doing the same things as the rest of the class. This is the idea that I want to introduce to my future students, and I hope that including more diversity in classes can be implemented with various methodologies to enhance the change and improvement of these. I have learned about the complex process that has to be done for a good organization of a learning environment inside of a classroom, and the different procedures to take into account to be able to include everyone in it, adapting all the resources to their needs.